everybody. Welcome back. This is Wrestling with the Future. I'm your host, Psychic Meat Angelo, joined as always by the guru who knew, the Encyclopedia Britannica of Pro Wrestling, Jeff the Ref Robinson. Hey, Jeff. Jeff, you know, you're reminding me a lot of Curly from the Stooges, brother. I love Curly.
Either Curly or Uncle Festus from the Addams Family. One of the either or. I walked into my local store yesterday, and the girls up there who normally see me on a daily basis, they see me with the head shaved, and they go, "What the heck did you do, man?" And I'm like, "It had to come off. I'm sorry, you know, like it just, you know." But anyway.
Well, Jeff, we have a very special guest tonight. And we're limited in time with our guest tonight, so I want to get this information out because there's a lot to get out here. Wrestling manager, icon, Nikita Breznikov has managed some of the biggest names in pro wrestling and has traveled the world twice with the likes of people such as Nikolai Volkoff, Killer Kowalski, Bruno Sammartino, Chief Jay Strongbow, Ivan Koloff, and countless other luminaries. He is an actor, producer, director, the assistant director, and casting agent. He has starred in such films as Insight, which he just completed, The Wrestler, Heroes of Wrestling, Highlander, Dark Places, Vlad Dracul II, Brush with Danger, Tears of the Fallen, 0 Point, You Don't Know Me, Caught, and Grandmasters of Wrestling. He's the author of the best-selling book, When It Was Real, co-authored by his friend, Scott Teal. It's the unflinching, unadulterated story of the life of a high-stakes pro wrestler in a world where it was all too real way back when. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, my friend Nikita Breznikov.
Thank you so much, Angelo. Beautiful opening. And Ref, nice to see you, Baldy.
Nice to see you too.
That, my friend, is how you put somebody over.
Yes, sir. That he, I can say this. I did not know, and I'll be honest, did not know who Nikita Breznikov was until I got introduced to a game called from Phil Singer Games and Legends of Wrestling. And it's a wrestling card game that's out there. Tabletop, 1 or 2 players can play it. And you, my friend, can be the booker. And Nikita Breznikov here is a manager. He is a card in there, and thanks to him, a few of my heels have been able to win every now and then. So
I love right.
Now, you know, Nick, it's funny that Jeff just mentioned something right off the top of the show here. You're probably best known as a manager.
Yes, absolutely.
But very few people realize that Nikita Breznikov was also a wrestler.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know that. How did you get started? Where? When? Give me all the pertinent background info. I know quite a bit about your career, Nikki. As I've followed you, I'm a fan. Plus, I'm a lot older than Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Why? Now, with me, I love the old days before Hogan, so I always collected tapes. So I see there was a 7-Eleven. They were advertising a show. They had the cardboard sign in the window. Nikolai Volkoff was coming to a local show. I was still working for the police department at the time, so it was day shift. So it's like, hey, I can make that. It's an afternoon show. I'm going to go see maybe Nikolai if I could meet him, and maybe he could tell me how to get some tapes, because at that time, my collection was small. So I go to the show, and you know how the boys set up the table and do the gimmicks before. So I go over, introduce myself. So I said, Nikolai, I collect tapes. Do you happen to have it? He said, oh, no, I would love, though. You make for me, I pay you. I said, you ain't going to pay me nothing. I owe you for all the years. I'll be happy to do it. So I made him a bunch of tape. And anybody from WWE, if you're listening in, I didn't charge him a dime, and I would never charge him a dime. So from that, we become friends. So, of course, I pester him. Nikolai, I want to get into business. You know, he's like, no, you have a good job. We all get hurt. So I was persistent. So then one day we were working together. We were at this old timers thing. It was a Czechoslovakian. It was called the Czech Festival, Czech-Slovak Festival. It was just for insurance. Him and I are walking around, dancing with the old ladies, having a good time. So we come up with the idea. He said, you will be my manager. I said, oh, boy, I don't want to be manager, but it's a way in. I'll do it. So then we come up with the idea. Nikita Breznikov. He wrestled as Nikita Breznikov at one time, years and years ago. And that was his handle. But
Yeah,
I like Nikita Malkovich, if you guys remember him from the 70s.
I sure do.
So I love that name. Brezhnikov we developed, and then from there it took off. Now, yeah, 85% was managing. After a while, following him around on the circuits, I said, Nikolai, I'm bigger than a lot of these guys. He's like, yeah, we become a tag team. That'd be good. So it's like, yeah, so then I got in that way. Hey, Angelo, I got hit by Bruno. He was reffing at a show. It was July 18th, 1998 in New Jersey in the stadium. Nikolai's wrestling Dominic, Bruno's reffing. And this is where I learned to work over the years.
Yeah.
Bruno, I get up on the apron. He's like, no, not yet. Go back down. So then, when he calls me up for the finish, and then he gives me a shot, open hand, of course. And it was like, my God, he was no young guy at the time. I'm thinking, if this guy nailed his prime, you would see the light of day no more. You'd be finished.
Yeah.
Valiant used to say he was like a gorilla. He was so strong.
Yeah. That show, by the way, Nikki, was July 18th at the Meadowlands Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yes, that was beautiful.
And that was in 1998?
Yeah, Jeff, 98.
That was when I was getting started reffing.
Very good.
Yeah. So, the stadium, it's funny because Bruno opened the stadium.
Wow.
Okay.
Bruno opened the stadium. He had, I'll just give you a little history behind that. He had a booking at the Garden for Vince McMahon, Jr.
Okay.
And he put the booking at the Garden off twice because they had not yet completed the stadium.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Because he gave his word to the stadium management that he would open the stadium, and he said, I won't take any bookings before I do the stadium.
Wow.
So he opened the Meadowlands Stadium, then he took his 2 Garden bookings.
So I got Nikita. When did you get actually started, like managing and wrestling? What year was it?
95.
Okay.
May 94. I would say was the exact date. It was the first time I ever witnessed an indie show with Nikolai. I wasn't involved. I actually went with him, but my debut was November 18th, 1995 for Dennis Coluzzo, the great Dennis.
Dennis was a dear friend of mine.
Oh,
I knew Dennis very, very well. He was also my insurance man.
There you go.
Angelo, did you catch that Nikita was talking about tape trading, something that me and Rob were talking about last week when we had Rob on the show?
Yeah.
And Angelo was asking me and Rob about that and how it all kind of, the underground of how those all were traded around, and how various ones were getting, you would find out just by calling somebody or finding, the newsletters. Thank God, actually, dirt sheets are dirt sheets, yes, but the dirt sheets also gave us a lot of that kind of information. So
sure.
I like it.
Yeah, Nikki, we had just on the show recently Rob Feinstein from RF Video.
Okay, I thought,
I'm a little older than those guys. I think you and I are probably around the same age, I guess.
Yes.
I'm 61.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and so, but I kind of went past that tape trading thing, because I was involved in the business. I was running shows. I was promoting. I knew that the tape trading went on, but I didn't know to the extent of it until I got smartened up by the ref and Rob.
Okay.
But apparently it was a big deal, Nikki, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I first got introduced to it in 1983 from a guy in Philadelphia. It was an advertisement in the back of the magazine, The Wrestler, that Bill Apter's publication, one of those. So it was like, wow, I got to see what this guy's got, and he had some gems. and then it just grew from there. I'm going to tell you a secret. I think we have a bigger collection than Vince McMahon does, believe it or not.
Wow.
I would probably agree with Nikita on that one. I know that I probably have some things existing that he wishes that he had.
Yes. Well,
And
now I met a guy in Boston, Rocky Raymond. I got a lot of his 8mm stuff. Now nobody has that. Vince doesn't have that. I know. I mean,
Oh, wow.
Vince, and
well,
there's some classics there.
Nikki, don't let Jim Cornette know.
well,
Oh, really? Oh, Jim Cornette wants that.
well, actually, I'll tell you guys something. Speaking of tapes and all that, there was the Buddy Rogers and Ric Flair footage that is now out there that exists. It's like one of the only known matches out there.
Yeah.
That was shot at the Norfolk Scope, and it was shot by the guy who is the acting commissioner for VCW down here in Virginia, George Pantis, and he shot a bunch on 8mm back in the late 70s, early 80s, back in Hampton and Norfolk, and he sold that footage to the WWE. So, it is a pretty good gem to have.
Now, Nikita, as I'm looking at you, strangely enough, I'm seeing a lot more Italian than Russian.
I have Italian in my blood.
It's
Polish,
very, yeah.
I'm Polish, Croatian, Italian, and a little bit of Jewish.
Oh my God bless you, my son.
So I had a lot of fun. That's all I can say.
Wow.
Talk about variety.
So we talk about a time that you started when, by and large, for the most part, kayfabe was still being practiced.
Oh yeah.
And it seems to be like a dead art now. But Jeff and I had a conversation, I guess about a week ago, Jeff.
Yeah, right around.
And we were talking about the slow but progressive return to kayfabe in some form.
Good.
Do you think that it's dead in the water, or do you think it's coming back in some way?
Not yet, because when I don't go to a lot of shows, but this past weekend, a neighbor of mine, he loves to see the local indie shows, and he wants to go with me. So I went. It was a good entertainment, very good show. Everybody worked their asses off. They did a great job. But you got the heels selling their gimmicks, at the intermission and before. It's like, no, that's not supposed to be. I know you want to make a couple of bucks, but if you're going to do the kayfabe, you're going to be the heel. Don't talk to nobody. You're not supposed to say hi, sign the autograph. You guys know how it works. But it's like, I don't see that yet.
Nikki, is it true that back in the day that the heels were forbidden from selling their gimmicks?
Absolutely. And I mean, hey, look, back in the 90s. Now, Dennis even was strict on that. Dennis wouldn't let them get out and do that stuff. He was, see, me, I think they missed the boat with Dennis Corluzzo. He had an open invitation to Raw.
Yeah.
Close with Cornette, too. Very close with Jim. So with Dennis,
oh yeah,
if the other promoters would have worked with him, they wouldn't have put Vince out of business, but they would have done good. Everybody could have made a decent living at it. But you know how it works.
True.
They were cutting throats. They would say the show, or the posters, all that nonsense. So it was like, yeah, I had a lot of respect for Dennis. I stay in touch with his son Mark, and I mean, to me, yeah, he gave me a break. He let me, but you know what? As soon as he saw me, and my gimmick wasn't quite refined yet, I just had a trench coat, and Nikolai said, "Yeah, put a hat, put something."
Well, that's kind of actually where I'm going to go with you, Nikki. At the time that you developed the Breznikov character, when you defined it to the point where you were happy with it, you had the full Russian ensemble, the trench coat, the hat, the medals, the whole bit, right?
Yes.
But by that time, the Cold War, of course, was well over. Yes. How did you get yourself heat?
You know what, Angelo? All we had to do was come out with that Soviet flag before 9/11. In 15 minutes, because a lot of times we go to a show and they say, "Oh, we have a Russian flag for you." It's like, okay, good, because I don't want somebody to grab and tear mine up. They pull out that new bullshit. I'm like, nah, that's no heat. Keep that thing. I've got the flag with me. You bring out the old red hammer and sickle. Oh, that's it. You go places like Virginia. Good old boys were like, "You's gonna bring what?" And man, it was hell. Let me tell you, 10 or 15 minutes in the match, that was more patriotism than any bullshit politician could do. Let me tell you.
No, it's the truth. I mean, I was good friends with Ivan Koloff. He was a dear friend of mine, and I used to watch him. I mean, even into the 2000s, he could still work as a heel and get over as a credible heel. And what he would do, Angelo, you're asking how you can get heat even in the 90s after the Cold War. Ivan would be like, the Soviet way of life, the communism way of life was the way to go. You don't understand. We had it better then. The government was better. They told us they helped the people out more. And he would cut that promo in the ring, and in 3 minutes, he'd have the people about ready to kill him like it was the 1970s again. So, I mean.
Yeah, but you know what? With Ivan, he was such a fucking lovable guy, though.
But I will say this. He was, and towards, God bless him, towards the end, I mean, after he became a born-again Christian and a minister even and all that he did, you know, it was hard for him to even have to be a heel. And it was hard for him, not because it was going against his principles or anything,
right?
But because he became that lovable grandpa, uncle, dad, whatever to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and when you know, he would go, I mean, I know all over here in the South, he would go to Walmart because he was big with the Children's Miracle Network and raising money for them. Yeah. And he, so it's kind of hard for him to be a heel when you go, I just saw him at my local Walmart and he was such a nice guy and he took a picture with my grandbaby. I mean, so, but prior to that, let me tell you, he still could get the heat.
Speaking of heat, Nikki, I got a question for you. Speaking of heat,
go ahead.
There's a guy that I grew up loving, watching him on television every Saturday, and he came across as just a big, lovable kind of guy. But they say that backstage he was a real SOB.
Okay.
Tell me about the real Chief Jay Strongbow.
Ooh.
Now, that's touchy because the Chief I know. Now, here's another way that I met Chief, all right? Daryl Cochran had died. So Nikolai called down, and he had talked to the widow, and she said, "Oh, Chief was here today." So Nikolai said, "Oh, I don't have Chief's number. I don't talk to him for a long time, please." So she gave him the number. He calls Chief. He says, "Chief, I know your biggest fan. He has all your matches." So again, here we go with the tapes. So one day I'm at work. My wife called. She says, "You'll never guess who just called." I said, "Who?" She said, "The Chief." I said, "Yeah, get the hell out of town already." You know, she says, "I ain't kidding you. The Chief called you." I said, "Wow." She said, "I have his number." So I call him up. He's like, "Yeah, Nikolai said, you got my matches. I like to get them." I said, "Chief? Oh, absolutely." So again, I make a connection through the tapes. We become good friends. But see, now, like Nikolai, a lot of people did not like him because Chief was no bullshit behind the scenes. You know, he was all business, and they say he was, you know, like me, cheap. You know, and it's like, yeah, but you know what? I learned from all the old timers, Nikolai and Dominic DeNucci, people like that. Ain't nobody going to give you the money. You got to take care of it. It's not how much you make.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. How much you keep is for sure.
I got along good with Chief. He was kind-hearted. He would crack a joke once in a while, but I know a lot of the boys, they didn't like him. They say he was this, he was that. I was like, I don't know. I didn't know him in that capacity. You know?
I think Chief's reputation as an agent, and because he was an agent, he got a reputation with a lot of the boys of being a stooge. And and he would stooge them off back then. And because of that, that kind of didn't endear him to them. I mean, how are you going to?
Well, we should say allegedly stooge him off.
I'm going. Yes,
with Tony Garea, and Tony was agent, and I was backstage at a lot of the Raws, and Tony, he got the job done. He wasn't there to make friends. It's like we gotta do what we gotta do, and this didn't have anything to do in the ring. There's the
Yeah.
stuff outside that had to be taken care of, and it's like, you know how these kids are. You got to tell them to put their pants on, tie their shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Jesus.
It's funny, Nikki, that you say that, because Jeff and I actually last night we had an interview with Rico Costantino, and we were talking about that, exactly that subject of, you go in the ring and you work and you do business together, but whatever happens backstage, if there's heat, you deal with it backstage. How did the guys back in the day deal with personal issues backstage?
Well, it was the same thing. You don't take it outside before the crowd or shoot on each other, because that's a quick way to get fired, without a doubt. It's like, hey, look, I need you tomorrow night. If you're going to go out there. Now, Nikolai tells me a story, and I won't mention the guy's name, but somebody was shooting on him in Florida, and he was new to the territory. So he took a couple of shots. Nikolai said, look, stop.
Yeah, I know the story.
Nikolai used to box. So
yeah.
And so Nikolai said, boom, boom. He said, I broke his nose, black his eye, and almost knocked him out. He said, I thought, oh, man, they're going to fire me. They're like, no, Nikolai, we saw it. He was an asshole, and you took care of it, and that's the way it works. You be an asshole, then you get flushed. No problem. Just like a turd. Down you go.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, no, I've heard that story too, and actually, I can say this, and Ivan told me this, and he didn't tell me not to ever tell it, so I'm not telling tales out of tell, stories out of tale. But he was working Angelo Mosca Jr., and he said Mosca Jr. would get kind of reckless in there, and he would tell him, "Calm it down, kid, calm it down," and he would back him into the corner, and he would start laying in the forearms to let him know to calm it down some. Mm-hmm. And then he said if Mosca still didn't get the message, he said then he would punt him in the ribs a couple good times with the point of the boot to really get the message across of, you need to calm it the fuck down. Like,
yeah.
Well, Chief told me he gave Greg Valentine his name, the Hammer. When they had that feud going in '79 with the broken leg gimmick, he said Valentine was stiff, and he said, Greg, I ain't gonna work with you if you don't knock it off. They can see it, but they can't feel it. Take it easy,
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny Valiant verified that. He said he used to call me Dinky. He said, Dinky, they can see it, but they can't feel it. Lighten up. It's like, okay, Chief, okay.
Now, I got a question for you. Your book that you wrote, you wrote that prior to getting into the business and from a fan perspective.
Right, exactly.
And that's rather an interesting take to have for a wrestling book out there these days. It really is. And kudos to you for doing that, by the way.
Thank you. It was an endeavor. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I wanted to pick me up a copy. I mean, I knew that you had written one, and now that we've had you on here and things like that, I do want to go pick it up because it seems like it's rather interesting to hear and read the tales of. I mean, you guys both of you grew up in a generation watching before I did, and as you said, it was more real back then. What do you think it is that you've now been to even a modern show in 2020? What is missing? What made it more real? And not just kayfabe. What made it more real to you as a fan?
They touched us with 1 hour of television a week. That's all they had. In the middle, they would have a promo that would last maybe 7 minutes tops. That's all the time they had to get through. But they spoke to us. And when we went to the arena every month, not every 6 months, every month, they put out for us. And we connected with them. It's something you can't create. I post something almost daily. It's got nothing to do with the book because those pictures are not in the book. It's just got to do with a love of keeping it alive, because a lot of people have pulled me off Facebook in a private message. Thank you for doing that, because it means so much to see that and remember it and get away from the politics and all the bullshit. So I keep that up. I keep the postings going. But
Right. Right.
it comes up, I brought up the angle, and this has got nothing to do with my book because it happened in 1981 with Slaughter and Patterson, that angle. And
Loved it.
like, it was so much heat for Slaughter at that time, it was almost dangerous for him. And
Yeah.
when he hit Patterson with the chair, when they had the Cobra Clutch challenge, there was a fan that he's actually, Mel Phillips almost screwed up the whole deal because he was the ring.
Oh, please.
So when
There's a
Patterson
cancer
came out
on
of
the business.
Dick Worley took the chair and put it on the side. He knew they were going to use it. Well, here comes Mel Phillips to take it. Dr. Zaharian stops him. This fan is watching, and he's pissed. Now, I watched it the other night on the anniversary of the show. This kid is pissed. He's like, and he's pointing, I don't know what he said, but he's pointing at the chair, and Zaharian's just like, yeah, whatever. So then when the Wizard goes to grab the chair, this guy comes out of his seat. He's almost grabbing the chair from the Wizard. But
Yeah.
Slaughter got it when he hit Patterson. And that, you can't make that. You can't make. You can make a man into a woman.
Yeah.
You can make a giant out of somebody that's 6'2", but you can't make people love or hate a character. It's coming from their heart, and we believed.
And that was the thing, you know, back in the day, and I think you put your finger on it, Nicky. Back in the day, you went to the show. They made you go to the show.
Yes.
They gave you a little taste on television.
Yes.
You could see Bruno on TV in an interview. But if you wanted to see Bruno wrestle, you had to go to the arena.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
now we're vice versa, right? Today, the house show, unless it's a taping for closed circuit or for pay-per-view or for TV, it's just a garbage show, just to wet your whistle. The big stuff is the pay-per-view. So now where TV was a small part, the live was the big money maker. Now it's opposite. And see, that's why when people want to say Backlund wasn't over, and I guess we could get into that too, I say, wait a minute. Go back and look. He wasn't Bruno. He wasn't supposed to. He couldn't be Bruno. But you look at the old matches, like it's coming up the rematch with Greg Valentine, March 26th of 79. When Backlund put the figure 4 in Valentine, the roof comes off. They go absolutely ape shit. It's like Backlund, but from a fan, I was a fan at that time. We loved Backlund.
Yeah.
It wasn't Bruno. We knew, and Superstar. I tell people that was my favorite time. Superstar as champion, that was my favorite time of all, because I got Bruno's chasing the guy that stole his belt. That was great heat. We loved that, you know, and it was like to see all of the faces finally get a title shot. Oh, that was just magical, man.
Yeah.
I think the same went for down here, well, down south where with Jim Crockett Promotions, and we had that level of believability too. I mean, where it was, you know,
Yes.
I mean, I mentioned actually when we had Baby Doll on when we had her on, Jim Cornette hits her in the stomach with a racket. They come on TV and they say, we don't know if Baby Doll's ever going to have babies. Now, me as a fan, I'm ready to kill Jim Cornette in the Midnight Express.
Beautiful, yeah.
I mean, you are an asshole at this point. You are below the scummiest of scum.
All right.
And
that's it. Now, but to go with Angelo's question, how the hell do you draw heat today? Everybody's offended. You can't say anything without getting sued. They'll burn the building down. They'll boycott you. It's like, well, what the hell can you do to draw heat?
Well, we had that conversation, Nicky. I swear to God, we had that conversation last night. We had that conversation last night. I you know what? And it's amazing to hear you say the same thing that Rico said. You know, and Jeff and I, you know, we're still fans, but maybe we're a little jaded to the business because we're in the business.
Right.
But you still want to put your fan cap on.
Yes.
And you still want to believe there's something authentic. There's something legit out there. The one thing that's always been real for me growing up and for you growing up was that heat.
Yes.
You know, you hated the Sheik. You hated that he bloodied Bruno's forehead. And you
Oh,
wanted to see Bruno get his comeuppance
Yep.
yes.
and beat the snot out of the Sheik.
Yes.
I wanted to see Dusty get the Horseman back when they broke his ankle in the Omni. I mean, it was but here's the problem. Honestly, a lot of it has to go with the internet. The internet
Yep.
leaks everything out,
Yep.
and fans will complain. It's easy to complain about something ahead of time without having seen how it plays out. It's easy to complain about something when the main event of WrestleMania is leaked 3 months prior, and then why are you wanting to tune in? If fans really truly wanted to be immersed in wrestling like we used to, do not read social media. Don't get on Twitter. Don't get on Facebook. Don't
Right.
read the dirt sheets.
And Jeff, there's one more thing. And I think, Nikki, you'll agree with me. It's easy to complain when you've never done it.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
And guys, what else is missing? There's no blood. There's no blood.
I know.
Unbelievable. You know, it's like, hey, look, when Lou Albano would wrestle Bruno, Chief, Pedro, instant sellout. The rest of the boys going to have the night off. You're going to pack the house. And Lou would bleed. And I remember as a kid, we went down to the ring at intermission after Bruno murdered him. And the blood, it was like, this is real. Look at this. It's incredible. We were demented and perverted or whatever, but we loved it. Because Lou, the bastard, got what he deserved.
I got a question for you really quick, Nikita.
Yeah.
Last week you appeared on a show, Monty and the Pharaoh, and they proceeded to bury my co-host over here, Angela, or tried to. I shouldn't say they did. They tried. You can't bury somebody who refuses to get buried. Good. But anyway, that being said, what did you? I don't know. What did you make of them? I mean, to me, they're a couple of blowhards that really don't know anything about wrestling. They're a couple of wannabes.
I was brought into the business by Nikolai, the effervescent, always peacemaker, always just, I let everybody do their thing. I'm happy to be a part of it. I try to keep that circle of wrestling going. If they're going to present it and make it wrestling, then to me, you know what? They're trying. Everybody's doing their own thing in their own way. So that's going to be the best answer I give for that one.
I got you.
Fair enough.
Thank you for that question, Jeff.
No, I wasn't looking for you to bury them. They really kind of came at me wrong. I mean, to come on, they have gone on there numerous times, and I mean, to me, I'm kind of flattered that they follow our show that much, and we're brand new, and they've been around for a while. So
what do they always say? Like with acting, oh my God, it's been buried 100 times by critics and things like that, and they say, you know what? They're talking about you. That's good. Let them say bad stuff. That's what you want. I'm like, yeah, but they said no, but they're talking about you. So I said, okay, then I guess I'll take that.
You were in the movie The Wrestler.
True.
What did you do in that movie?
Wait. I was not in it. I worked with Aronofsky on it. The very first meeting, I was there with Nikolai, Johnny Valiant, Evan Ginsberg, and Scott Franklin, the other producer. So Aronofsky was like, what is this? I don't know anything about this world. So we worked with him behind the scenes doing things. I worked with their first writer, for about a year. So we were going to be in it, but then it was like, I don't want to do wrestler, actor. That would kill it. So Johnny Valiant was in it. And some of the local boys, they had some screen time, but that was it. It was like,
I enjoyed the show.
Well, I mentioned at the top of the show, Nikki, that you are an actor, a writer, prolific writer, a producer. You've been involved in wrestling and film entertainment, television, of course, and you're a natural for TV. You just got that heelish face about you that you're the effervescent bad guy that everyone loves to hate.
Especially women. I've been married 4 times. I have survived 3 divorces, so I'm a tough son of a bitch. And I always like to give that message: get your prostate checked, the blood test. That's what saved me. They caught it early. I still had to have the big surgery, but thank God I'm still here 18 years later. So please, to all the men out there, get the prostate check, the blood test. And I know everybody's worried to go bend over the table. We hate it, but that's too late. You don't want them to feel the prostate enlarge. You want them to catch it in the blood as soon as they can to see the cells. Then you get the treatment. So yeah, I've survived prostate cancer, 3 divorces, wrestling, 27 years, Baltimore City Police. I mean, yeah, I've been around the bend.
You have a film that's just completed. The release date, I believe, is supposed to be either later this year or early in 2021. The film is called Insight.
No, it better be 2020 because this thing's been going on for. Now, the person behind it, Livia Chung, even though it's spelled Zheng, it's pronounced Chung. Dear friend, I met her at the University of Washington. We kind of grew in the industry together because Brush with Danger, that was the biggie.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
That's the biggie because that one, it was going to start out as a short. We didn't think it would grow, but then she kept getting donations or investors from Indonesia, all different places.
Yeah.
She said, she always calls me Nikki. She said, Nikki, we got budget for a full-blown movie. So it's like, let's do it. So when she moved out to LA, she went to USC Film School. So she had access to the big lab. It's not just what you do, it's how you edit the thing and how you put the color, the sound. She made it look beautiful. So we shot a lot on location in Seattle. The rest we did in Hollywood. And I mean, the man we were in Hollywood because the street led up to the Greek Theater. We were neighbors with the Hollywood Bowl, Griffith Park. So yeah, we were right in Hollywood. We were in the running that year with the Oscar. We were top 300.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Brush with Danger was a film that I think, as an actor, put you on the map for real.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because, and I should point out to people, and this is a shoot, you have no formal acting training per se.
It was wrestling. That was it. Because that's how it started. We would do documentaries. And one guy come up to me one day and he said, those are acting credits. I'm like, who gives a shit? I don't do no stupid acting. I do wrestling. And he's like, hey, you goof, it's the same thing. And I'm like, is that your real name? I'm like, well, okay, I guess you got me there, but so what? What am I going to do? But then somebody came in Baltimore, a local person. They were doing a movie called Terror in the Pharaoh's Tomb. And it spoke to me because it was a horror movie. But they had Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr. They did it black and white, and they got the rights to put their clips into it. So I said, oh, man, I love that. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So that was a neat experience. And then that got me. Then The Wrestler. So that's what got the bug. And then when I moved out to Washington State and I met Livia, boom, that was it. I was going full blown at that point. I learned a lot. I was part of a local for Baltimore. For one season, I was a co-host for Top of the Morning. It was a local television show. So I
I know about that. Yeah.
It's not.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, the new film Insight. I haven't. I know that it's just completed. And hopefully this year it'll be released.
Hopefully.
But the only thing I couldn't find on it, Nikki, was the film synopsis. What is it about?
It's 2 brothers that are psychic, and they could telepathically communicate with each other, and their exploits as it takes off. It's like a crime drama because you see some of the old timers in it. He's not James Woods, but he was in The Onion. The guy's name escapes me now. Well, Tony Todd, everybody knows him, the big black guy. He's in a lot of horror.
Oh, Candyman.
That's it, exactly.
Candyman, Tony Todd.
Yes.
Yeah, Candyman and Night of the Living Dead.
Yes. So he's got a lead role in it. I'm not one of the leads. I'm one of the I'm one of the what the heck they call it?
Supporting cast.
No, well, yeah, like one of the main player, but not one of the leads, because she said I can't give you a lead in every movie. I said, yeah, that one looks stupid, so that's good. So that worked out nice. But she's got good names. Each time she wants to do, better, and I believe in her. She really has the talent and the ability and the drive.
Excellent. Well, that's the latest film. Anything else regarding television or film you want to talk about before we go delve back into the world of the squared circle?
I'm working on that I can't talk about always, so there are things in the works, without a doubt.
Okay, terrific. We'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Jeff.
I love that answer because that's actually what most actors say all the time. You ask them, "Is there anything that you're working on that you can tell us?" Well, there's something I'm working on, but
But I can't tell you about it.
I got a project that that we're talking about right now, but
And some of these people go crazy because one time when we were doing some voiceover for Brush with Danger, Livia brought the LA people down to Seattle because it was easier to get the Seattle people's work done at one of the local vocal studios. So they were allowing some people to take pictures. And this woman from LA, she's like, oh my God, when I go to the studios, they make you turn in your cell phone. They search my trunk when I come in, when I leave. And she said, I got an old card. I got to pry it open. They're very careful with every bit of information because apparently somebody set down like a thumb drive or whatever that bullshit is they use today.
Oh, wow.
And it snuck out. So it's like now everything is like NASA top secret lockdown.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They sue you. The bastards sue you. I'll tell you, damn lawyers, they rich bastards.
Well, the wrestling business should be so guarded with their secrets, for crying out loud.
Used to
they
be.
try, Angelo. They try, but you know who's got the biggest mouth? The boys. Can't wait to brag about every damn thing.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's it, Jeff. That's the difference of the old days. The old timers wouldn't talk. You couldn't pay them to talk because, hey, that's bread and butter. I don't want to give that shit up. Today, I don't think the kids really, it manipulates their minds about the money. They want to put themselves over and yak, yak, yak,
Yeah.
Well, I think
my thought has always been, let the people put you over. Why wasting the time to put yourself over? Jeff, am I right or what?
No, you're absolutely right. And then, but part of it is too, now it goes to what I had said. Now they try to get noticed by going viral. It used to be, if my talent gets me over and I start getting talked about and promoters start wanting to use me, if you were making headway in the indies, your name is going to get out there amongst the promoters. It didn't matter what you were doing. But to their benefit, I've said this too. I kind of am jealous that social media exists now when it didn't when I was even coming up. I would have loved to have been able to sit there and send a promoter a YouTube clip of me for 5 minutes.
You know what me and Nikki had growing up? Me and Nikki had Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Yes.
So did I. Yeah.
Yes.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated was our Bible, Nikki, right?
That was it. That was your information grapevine. That's what you had. Yes.
I was there. I mean, monthly at the newsstand, getting The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, and PWI. So much so that my mom bought me a yearly subscription.
Wow.
God bless Mama Guru for supporting my habit for many years.
That's wonderful.
As I've said, without her, I never would have been able to watch the pay-per-views because she allowed me to have me and about 10 of my young friends over there. And imagine a single mom with 10 to 12 young 13 to 14-year-old teenage boys watching a wrestling pay-per-view and how that was.
It's a wonder she didn't turn out to be an alcoholic.
I mean, you're talking 1990, Sting beating Ric Flair for the world title.
Okay.
And so
you gotta love it.
But we were sold again on the believability. Sting's coming back, knee injury, which was legit.
Yeah.
But comes back, he has to revenge and get his revenge on Ric Flair for beating him down and out of the Horsemen. He comes back, wins the world title.
I call a lot of that true fiction. Because even though a lot of it was portrayed on television, a lot of it was really happening too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're legit.
I think that it is that the guys. Part of it too is they've lost the art of selling in a lot of the indies today.
Yeah. Yeah, Nikki, what happened to that? What happened to the ability to sell?
Last year, I was at Cauliflower Alley Club, and they put on the Luna Vachon Battle Royal and a lot of 2 shows, 2 nights in a row. So I'm there ringside, close bird's eye view, managing some people, and I'm watching, and I'm like, man, you're beating each other's brains out. And Kevin Sullivan, he said it best. He inducted Andrew Anderson, outstanding wrestler of the year. And he said, you know what it's called? Wrestling, not spotting. Stop the spots. You're supposed to have a spot in a match. What are you doing? And it's like, yeah, he's right. I mean,
well, you're right, Jeff. We know you and I. How many times have we talked about the spot monkeys? Nikki, I want Jeff. I want you to tell Nikki, and I'm not making this up, Nikki. This is honestly God. Jeff, tell Nikki about a Jordan's match.
Which one?
The one where they didn't touch each other for the entire match.
It was about a minute and a half of straight choreographed gymnastic. And I'm not taking away from Jordan Oliver because the kid is talented and he's got a great future as far as his look, his ability, and everything. But he had a match and it went viral. And it was a straight minute and a half of you do a leg dive, I do a leg dive. You miss, I miss. You miss a kick, I miss a kick. You do a flip, I flip out of that. You do a toss, and I basket toss you out of that. Boom, boom. No sell, no touch for a minute and a half. And you can look at it and go, you guys are practicing that routine for at least an hour in the back before you went out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that, and yet you will have some fans that go, that was great work. What they did was great stuff.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. When you worked, you had bullet points, right, Nikki?
Oh, yeah.
They gave you bullet points and said, here's the finish. However you get there, get there.
Gotcha. Right?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How you got there was your creative license. You called it in the ring.
And listening to the fans. Exactly. Yes. And
what happened to that? Why don't we listen anymore?
Because it's all the same. If you're going to do backdrop, hit the buckle, backdrop again, and you're flying elbow, it's like, and I'm watching each match, it looks the same. Why are you killing each other? Because nobody's paying attention because it's now become like a headlock, okay? It's like, but this hurts. This is like so much damage. I'm not going to say who because I respect her too much, but I took somebody aside and I said, do me a favor. Look out there. See all those people? I said, how many of those people's names do you know? And she said, I don't know anybody out there. I said, exactly. They're not going to remember this either 2 hours from now, but you're going to feel this 2 years from now. Take it easy. What are you doing to yourself out there? You can tell they don't do this every night to make a living because they couldn't do that. There's no way you know they could do it like that.
I think that they hope that they are going to, it's again going viral. They hope to get that viral, sensational video. I mean, what you tell me why a promoter's son, you heard me right, Nikita, a promoter's son is taking a dive from a second floor of a mall into the ring.
I did see that, and I asked the same question. It's like, it doesn't prove anything. It proves you're a goof, because I don't know why in the hell you'd want to do something like that.
Why
you're not a
you
tough
let
guy.
your kid do that? I'm sorry, I'm a 42-year-old man. If my 20-year-old son, if I had one, came to me and said, hey, Pop, I want to go climb on top of the second story of the building, and I'm going to come die. No, I want you alive, son. I'm sorry. I don't need you to break your neck.
Yeah, I don't want to push you around in the wheelchair. No thank you.
I'm sorry. Neither Vince is not paying you or me to pay for you to be a vegetable for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. Well, Nikita, my friend,
Yes.
I have to bring you back for a second part of this. I know we have to let you go tonight. I want to thank you for spending the time with us that you did. I know you have to go.
I love it.
But when we can do this again, I'd like to bring you back for the full deep dive.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Absolutely. Please.
Thank you so much. Everybody, Nikita Breznikov.
Thank you, Nikita. It's been a pleasure having you. Yes.
Yes.
Don't forget it. It's on crowbarpress.com. The great Scott Teal. If it wasn't for Scott, I couldn't get it done.
And
Absolutely.
Scott Teal's helped author quite a few books.
For sure.
So,
we like Scott here.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, we like Scott.
If you're a wrestling fan and you're wanting to learn your history, like the guru here, start reading some of Scott Teal's books.
Absolutely. Nikki, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. Do svidaniya.
Take care.
Have a good one, Nikki.
All right. That was great.
That was awesome.
That was great. Nikita Breznikov. Well, I'm going to tell you what. And I wish that Nikki had a little bit more time to spend with us, but I'm thrilled that we got that much from him. But we will definitely, Jeff, have him back again for sure.
No doubt. He seems like like a lot of our guests, humble, enjoys the business, loves it.
I was thinking, Jeff, I was thinking last night when we went off the air, we were talking to Rico about his humility.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, we've been really, really fortunate on this show to have some of the nicest people in the business. Let's talk about some of the guests because you and I, it's been a while since it's just been you and I. We've had a guest on. You realize this, that we've had a guest on every show since our third show?
It's insane and incredible to think about that we've been doing this since September, Angelo, and we have had a guest on literally every show since our third show in.
Sometimes 2-3 shows a week we record.
Here lately it has been, and in my case 4 when you count me a Mike's roundtable.
We had a round table for sure, yeah. Because people can't get enough of the guru.
No, you were saying our guests that we've had had Baby Doll. We've had Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. We've had Evan Ginsberg. We've just had Nikita Breznikov. We've had Casey Carlisle. We've had Princess Victoria. We had Sherry Martell's childhood best friend, Kathy Fitzgerald. So many. Rob Feinstein, and of course Rico, who we've done a 2-parter with. I don't think that there's been anybody really that.
Oh, and Jack Victory, of course.
Our very first guest, actually, Jack Victory.
Yeah, Jack was our friend, and we did a 2-parter with Jack too.
Yep, C.W. Anderson.
C-Dub, yeah, absolutely, for sure. Very soft-spoken guy, very humble.
Yep.
The guy wrestled all over the world.
You would never know
championships.
Yeah, you would never know that half of them have accomplished what they have done in the business.
Right.
And it's like what I had said off the air, and I'll say this, and maybe Rico will go back and hear it, or we can play it for him. But honest to goodness, I don't think that Rico, even Baby Doll, even Boogie, I don't think that they realize the lives that they touched across the world.
Yeah,
especially,
for sure.
Especially in this day and age with YouTube. And you can go back and you may find somebody that you really were interested in and go back and start finding clips of theirs. And, I could be a kid in Australia watching a Rico Constantino.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's amazing.
It's
remarkable where this show has come.
Yeah.
And we're not finished yet. We got a lot more to do.
Oh, we will continue to put on the content, put it out there, let everybody,
Yeah, we've got some really super guests coming up. We've got, of course, everyone knows Bruiser Brody, but very few people know Mrs. Bruiser Brody, Barbara Goodish. She'll be with us talking about Bruiser, and the guy she knew as Frank and dad and husband. We'll have one. I know one of your favorites because he left a permanent imprint on your chest. Wahoo McDaniel. His wife Karen McDaniel will be with us, and she is. I will tell you right now, folks. Karen McDaniel is a character.
That one, from all indications, we may have to say children do not listen to unless your parents are around.
Put a parental advisory.
Yeah. But
yeah, for real.
We do not hold our guests back, and we let them express themselves any way they want to. So,
speaking of which, we will have Evan Ginsberg. Evan will be on the show. Evan is the quintessential New Yorker. God bless him. And he's going to bring on Bill Pierce, who people might remember as Chris Michaels from the tag team Simply Splendid.
Yeah, he did some work with the WWE. He did some jobs too up there as far as enhancement work. So
sure did. We've got Dave Dahl coming back on.
Yeah,
we got a whole show coming up dedicated to female referees. We got a whole show of female referees, the growing trend. And you know what? Let's talk a little bit about this, Jeff.
Yeah.
What do you make of this, being a referee yourself, what do you make of this like trend in the number of women that are refereeing wrestling matches now?
You know what? I truth be told, I like to say I don't mind seeing it. I really don't. If anything, they deserve a spot in there just as much as the men do because you're a referee. Referees, seen not heard, should be part of the dance, but the third man in the ring. And if they're good at what they do, by all means. Not to mention, you can use a female referee to get more heat for a heel.
Very interesting take on it. Very interesting take.
You think about this. You got, I know her name, Aubrey Edwards over there in AEW.
Right.
Let's just say that she's in a match and with MJF as the heel, and MJ like backs her up in the corner, smacks her, hits her, does whatever on purpose. They're gonna. You talk about wanting to kill. They're gonna be ready.
Yeah.
Because
we have a woman coming on. Her name's Charlene McKenzie. She is one of the most sought after female referees on the indie circuit across the country.
Okay.
She's a big, solid girl that she's like no nonsense. Some people call her the judge.
I like that. I like that a lot.
They call her Charlene the Judge McKenzie.
Well,
so in other words, what I'm saying to you is her word is final, and you're not going to argue with her.
I mean, the Aubrey Edwards over there in AEW, they're calling her the female Earl Hebner.
Yeah. Well, she really is good. She really is.
She knows. I know it sounds weird to say, but she knows how to sell as a referee to make a move look that much more devastating.
And you know what, Jeff? That's a good point because people don't think about referees selling as part of the match. But like Jimmy Valiant told us, without the ref, there is no match.
And she knows how to. You can interject yourself into a match as a referee. There really is an art form to being a referee, and not everybody can do it. And I think there's what's also something that's wrong on a lot of independents. Not so much anymore. It used to be this way. It used to be referees are a dime a dozen, buddy. Anybody can referee. Okay, fine. You put Junior there in a pair of shoes, pair of pants, and tell him to go referee and look like crap.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Be my guest. Now, I'll say this. As a male referee, my machismo may get the best of me if I'm told Susie Q has the main event and you don't tonight.
Right.
Now I'm going to go to.
You know, that's happened a couple times already in AEW
Yep.
with
And I would go
Aubrey
to,
Edwards, you know, calling main events.
right. I would go to the promoter at that point and say, what do I need to do to step my game up to get the main event?
Well, but here's the thing, though. Doesn't that really fit in with the main event? Think about it.
Right.
You just mentioned her ability to sell.
Yes.
The fact that she's a female gives you something decent to look at.
Yep.
Okay?
I think that does come into play too. I really do. I think that.
I mean, look, there's a difference between boys and girls in case nobody told you, Jab. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Case in point, how I almost died that I mentioned on the round table, you know, what I almost died between.
Yeah, by the way, I have a little question for you. I saw your episode of the round table.
Go ahead, brother.
You and Mad Mike are never permitted ever again to attend a rock and roll concert. You're never allowed to go to another concert again. And thank God they did away with festival seating.
Oh, no, that I agree with. I mean, that actually got to the point where it was getting dangerous for a lot of people back in the day.
Oh, I was going for a shoot in Ohio. 7 people died in a festival seating rush to the door.
They
trampled to death.
It got to the point where actually a lot of states had outlawed it. Virginia was one of the last few to outlaw it. And I mean, you know, it was bad. You're right. They you know, like me and Mike talked about, they bum rush a stage and you don't know what's coming. And if you've never been, Jack, you better move back. I mean,
Ohio was the first place to outlaw it. New Jersey was the second.
Okay. Wow.
They did away with as soon as those people were killed in Cincinnati. They right across the board. New Jersey said, "Nope, we're done with that. Take it off the books. It's paid admission seating only. That's it."
I mean, true. I kind of wish that to a point, but you know, but back in the, you know, in the 80s and the 90s when it was allowed, I'll say this. If people want to know exactly what we're talking about when we say festival seating and no seating, watch any of your old rock videos when they would film them and you got everybody at the stage and they're all rushing the stage and you got security reaching over to grab them out and the girls are all fainting in front of Def Leppard and pour some sugar on me.
Standing up, yeah.
That is festival seating.
Exactly.
And
well, my friend, you know, we could talk about that for the rest of the show, but we are going to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I know you got some stuff happening in Vanguard, and you've got another great episode of the Roundtable coming up. What are you going to talk about this week on the Roundtable?
Roundtable, me and Mike are going to probably be talking about the Super Showdown and the fallout from that.
Oh, gotcha.
The fact that WWE is about this close to making the ref not want to watch them anymore.
All right, don't tip the hat, ref. Don't tip the hat.
But anyway, yeah, that's one we're gonna probably go into that and any of the big news that may come out this week. So
okay. What do you got to plug for Vanguard Championship Wrestling?
Yeah, we got Vanguard Championship Wrestling. We're gonna be at the Hampton High School, home of the Hampton Crabbers, where they're gonna be doing a fundraiser. We're gonna be bringing in the one, the only Sergeant Slaughter himself, a tin hut, and it is gonna be on March the 14th. Over there at Hampton High School. You can go to vcw-wrestling.com. You can buy your tickets there. Or go to Vanguard Championship Wrestling on Facebook. Look them up. Find out how to get your tickets over there. And they also got a lot of YouTube clips where you can see a lot of the action that they've been having over the last few months.
Yeah.
So that's where you can find out more information on that. And, of course, you can listen to me and Mad Mike on the Restaurant Table, found here on Wrestling with the Future. Anywhere you see Wrestling with the Future, you'll see the Restaurant Table.
Absolutely. And they can reach Jeff on Twitter at Jeff Rob. Go ahead.
Jeff Rob 41977. You can find me over there on the Twitter link.
There you go. See, I had to give you the Iggy on the Twitter, but you were gonna zip right by your Twitter.
I was. I apologize.
That's why you need me. The old man still has a little something to contribute here. Speaking of which, if you want to see the ref and myself in person, the place, the date, and the time are April the 11th in Philadelphia, PA, at the 2300 Arena, the old ECW Arena. We will be there for Icons of Wrestling with Rob Feinstein, with Kurt Angle, and whoever the hell else decides to show up. But we will be podcasting live. We will have our T-shirts available for sale, and they're actually on sale now. Wrestling with the Future T-shirts come in large, extra large, and 2X, and a very special one for the ref. That was their gift to us. And you can find Wrestling with the Future everywhere podcasts are available, which is Podbean, Podbay, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube,
anywhere you
Facebook,
can download your podcast.
Anywhere we're God Almighty, we're everywhere. We really are. We're everywhere. Speaking of Facebook, we have our dedicated Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Wrestling with the Future. All of the videos that you see here are uploaded to Facebook and YouTube, so there's no excuse not to see us. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. We are now available on Podbay FM Radio. That's our new one, Podbay FM Radio.
Yes, sir.
And you don't even need a satellite to get it.
There you go.
And so thank you to our friends at Podbay. Let's see what else I got. Oh, I got our Twitter is @WrestlingFuture. As I mentioned last night, we're putting an Instagram together. Yep. It'll be Wrestling with the Future Instagram. It's not up yet, so don't bother looking for it. Jeff's about to choke on his cigarette here.
That was very funny. It's not up yet, so don't look for it.
And we want to thank everybody for nearly 400,000 downloads. We're not there yet. We're just shy of 400,000. Jeff, can you imagine that? Think about that.
And you know what's crazy is that's just on Podbean.
That's just Podbean, yeah. Yeah.
So when we make that announcement, that's just on Podbean, everyone. That's not everywhere else.
Yeah, that's not iHeart or iTunes or Spotify. No. Yeah, it's look, if Monty and the Pharaoh are singling you out, you're doing something right. So
there you go.
I like Nikki said, kudos to Monty and the Pharaoh. God bless you, and thank you, boys. Keep it up. Keep up the good.
Hey, keep putting us over. Go ahead. We love it.
Put us over to the moon. We'll love you.
Yep.
I won't watch anymore, but I'll still love you.
Yeah. Hey, we may think you're SOBs, but doesn't mean you can't put us over. Go ahead. We love you for it. You know, y'all may be pieces of trash, but go ahead, talk about us. We don't care. Y'all may be pieces of garbage, but we don't care. You know why? Because we are bigger, we are better, we will be always there for our fans. Unlike you guys, we're going to be around in 2 years. We're not filming this from our mama's basements. We're not paying our best friend to do this. We're not paying our guests to come on our show. We actually have guests coming to us asking to come on our show.
And that's huge.
That are booked 3 months out. Because that is who we are. So Monty and the Pharaoh, you guys can kiss my big white ass. Because you know what? You guys pushed it. You guys want to put us over? That's cool. You want to call us out? That's fine. Hey, you know where we're going to be? We're going to be at the Philadelphia Arena. He's already said where we will be. We'll be there in person. Go ahead, show up.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Hey, have a good one, folks.
I love when the ref gets fired up. God bless him.
I love my fans.
when you get like that, you remind me of an old Southern preacher, bro.
I'm sorry.
Get the fire and brimstone coming out of the ref. Well,
you don't push me.
A really good show. I tell you, we've done 3 shows this week, ladies and gentlemen, and it's been a long week for the ref and I. It's been a longer week for the ref because he cranked out 2 ref roundtables this week.
Yeah.
So it's been a long. I've been putting the ref on overdrive.
Time to take a breather over the next few days.
Yeah. Well, folks, for Jeff the Ref, the Guru, I'm Psychic Medium Angelo. Thanks for stopping by. Happy wrestling, everybody. Take care.
Bye.